I'm sure I'm not the only one who can relate to this topic today. You know, it is so easy for us to become prisoners to our past when we hold in a lot of feelings and emotions and bad memories that happen to us, just kind of hoping that they'll go away or they won't affect us if we don't think about it. But in reality, they affect us. And a lot of those things that affect us affect how we treat other people. So today I am going to share with you 5 key tips that I believe can help you face your past and overcome a lot of the things that happen to you. Okay? So tip number 1 is to acknowledge your past. I'm sure we all can agree that the first step to resolving any issues or problems that we may have in our lives is to acknowledge that they exist. It seems really simple, but really it's really tough for us to be honest about certain feelings and things that happen to us, and acknowledge that the reason why I act this way is because of this issue that happened when I was 5 years old, and we're 25 and 30 and 40 years old. It's kind of hard for us to admit that. But you have to honestly assess your behavior, your attitude, and your actions, and try to figure out why you are the way you are. There are always underlying factors that play a key part in our behaviors and our actions. So we just have to really think about it and, connect the things together. For instance, you can have trust issues, and, that can easily stem from someone constantly lying to you or betraying you in the past. So now you don't trust people. Or you can have a lack of self-esteem or self-love, and that can come from people teasing you, or you being verbally abused, or you being neglected as a child and not receiving the love and the attention that you needed. Or if you continue to make poor decisions in men, that can easily stem from your father being absent from your life, or you being conditioned to a certain behavior from men. So you continue to allow bad things to happen to you when it comes to men. Regardless of the issues that you may have, just know that they come from somewhere. We just have to dig deep enough in our past to kind of figure out where they come from. Okay, which brings us to tip number 2, which is to realize that a lot of things that happened to you in your past were not your fault. Again, they were not your fault. You can't control the environment that you grew up in. We can't control who our parents are or our siblings. We can't control the color of our skin. We can't control our gender. And we certainly cannot control the actions of other people. Again, once you realize that you have no control over how someone acts towards you or treats you, that right there would change your life, I'm telling you. Regardless of what you do or didn't do, we can't change how people treat us. The only thing that we can change is how we react to how people treat us and how we deal with it. At some point, we have to be accountable and responsible for our own behaviors and our own actions. You can't keep blaming your father not being in your life for you making the same poor decisions in men over and over again. At some point, you have to be accountable for your own actions. Which brings us to tip number 3, which is forgiveness. Forgiving is so important. A lot of people think that when you forgive someone, it makes you weak, it makes you give up your power, it makes the situation, less than what it was, or it's letting the person off scot-free for what they did to you. No, forgiveness is none of that. Forgiveness is not forgetting about it. Forgiving is actually to help you overcome those issues and let go of those feelings that you feel inside. It helps you to release all of that instead of holding it in. And forgiveness it's so important. You have to forgive. You have to let it go. We can no longer keep these memories and feelings inside, because eventually we're going to erupt like a volcano, which is going to spread towards other people, and it really affects other people and how we deal with them. It really affects it. So you have to speak your truth, let it out, and forgive. Okay. Tip number 4 is to think positive. There's always 2 sides to a situation. There's the negative side and there's the positive side, and you have the choice to choose which side you want to dwell on. You can either dwell on the negative side and carry this dark cloud over your head, and every time you're reminded or you see a person, you instantly get upset, you have an attitude, and you just treat them differently, and your whole aura is off about yourself because you're thinking of the negative side of it. Instead, you can think of the positive side. You can take the learning lesson from the situation and try to better your life with it instead of just dwelling on the negative and letting it hurt you. We no longer have to let our past hurt us. We can let it help us, okay? Which brings us to tip number 5, which is so important, okay? You really have to look at the people around you. We have to distance ourselves from the negative people who feel the need to constantly bring our past up in our face. I know we all have 1 or 2 people in our lives, whether it's a friend, a family member, or an associate, who feels the need to constantly throw our past up in our face. Something that we did 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago. We don't need those people around us. We need positive people around us who are going to accept us for who we are and who's going to love us through our changes. We don't need people, 5 years ago you did this, or you was like this 10 years ago. They can stay there. We are living in the present and working towards building a better future. We don't live in the past no more. So if they want to live in the past, that's perfectly fine. They can live there by themselves or whoever else they want to live with. But we're not going to go there with them. We're going to leave them over there because we don't need that. That's just going to bring us back down and make us more miserable and make us more negative and make it really hard for us to deal with our past. So we're going to leave them in the past and we're going to work towards the future. You have to realize that the past is just that. It's the past. We can't go back there. We can't change anything about it. The only thing that we can change is ourselves today so that we can better ourselves for tomorrow. So I thank you guys for tuning in this week. If you enjoyed this message, please subscribe below. If you know someone who can benefit from this message, share this video with them and try to help them out. And tune in next week for another sister to sister moment.